kommen zu unserer Veranstaltung mit dem Thema SEXPLOITATION, Sextourismus und die Auswirkungen auf den globalen Süden und auch auf uns. Warum diese Veranstaltung? Wenn wir über Prostitution und Menschenhandel sprechen, ist Sextourismus ein wichtiger Aspekt, weil Städte damit um Touristen werben. Viele Länder des globalen Südens leiden aber unter dem Sextourismus, weil der ein negatives Image mitbringt. Und auch, weil andere Touristen dann fernbleiben. Dieses Problem hat Deutschland noch nicht, aber auch Deutschland ist inzwischen zu einer Top-Destination für Sextouristen geworden. Und auch bei uns ist Sextourismus ein Wirtschaftsfaktor auf kommunaler Ebene. Wir als AGGB kämpfen dafür, dass sich das ändert. Und zwar mit Aktionen zum Beispiel wie der Kampagne Rote Karte für Freiheit zur EM, zur Europameisterschaft. Und in diesem Kontext haben wir auch Erika Ardila getroffen. Und jetzt switche ich zu Englisch. Die Veranstaltung wird in Englisch sein, aber es gibt Simultanübersetzung von Inge Kleine. Herzlichen Dank, liebe Inge. Und wenn Sie auf Deutsch zuhören möchten, dann gehen Sie bitte hier unten in der Leiste auf Dolmetschen. Sie sehen einen kleinen Globus und wählen Sie dort die Sprache Deutsch. Wählen Sie bitte nicht Englisch, denn dann bleiben Sie bitte in der Originalversion. Nicht zu Englisch switchen, weil auf dem Channel gibt es nichts. Ja, nicht? Haben Sie das gesehen? Klappt das mit dem Channel? Okay, wunderbar. So, I will start again in English. Erika Ardila, we are welcoming Erika Ardila, our expert today. She's got a master's degree in digital communication in 2022. She did research on YouTube videos of American sex tourists. The tourists had visited Medellin and Cartagena with the purpose of buying sex. Later, they have posted in social media, especially on YouTube, about their adventures and experience. These postings represent a threat for women, girls, and the society in general. Erika, I would like to ask you, why did you choose to deal with this hot topic? How did the professional staff at the university and your friends and family react when they heard about your topic of research?
Well, first of all, good night. I think it's night for you. And hello, everyone. Thank you, Sylvia, for having me in this space. And to answer your question, I decided to make my research about this because actually when I did my bachelor's, I did a research also about a blog post from a man who lived in Ireland. And he was talking about the girls in Cartagena. So for those who don't know, I'm from Cartagena, Colombia, which is a country located in Latin America. It's a city close to the coast. So it's very like Caribbean and beach vibes. And these men used to post blog posts about Cartagena and about the women and how to get a girl in Cartagena and also in Medellin. And that's how this all started. So when I started my master's, actually, I focused my research on this topic about prostitution, about stereotypes, and also how social media is affecting the way we see women, especially in Colombia.
Thank you. And could you tell us some more details about your research? And could you also show us some typical examples of the postings of the tourists?
Of course. I'm going to show you some examples about what I found of these videos online. I don't know if you want me to start a presentation now so we can start talking a little bit more.
Good.
And that way I can show you the examples.
And then if I have questions, I will interrupt you and ask you, because could be that it is sometimes a little bit difficult to follow otherwise. Okay?
Perfect. Sure. Okay. Let me just share my screen. Okay. You got it. Let me know if you can see the slides that I'm sharing right now.
Yes, I can see.
Yes. Okay. The whole screen, just a little bit. Okay. So this is the research that I made to get my master's degree, and it's called Construction of Digital Narratives and Social Imaginaries in Videos published on YouTube about erotic tourism in the cities of Cartagena and Medellin. Like I said, I'm from Cartagena, but I study in Medellin. And these two cities are the main tourist cities in Colombia. Just after the capital, which is Bogota, Cartagena and Medellin are the cities that has more international tourists every year. And that's why it's so important to pay attention to the videos that are being posted about these specific cities. The objective of this research was to determine the construction of the digital narratives and social imaginaries in the videos that were published on YouTube. And in this specific case, we're gonna use the concept of erotic tourism because on YouTube, you can now post sexual videos. So these videos are a little bit more erotic, showing women in Cartagena and Medellin, but they are leading the foreign men to get a girl and, you know, like pay for sex to get laid with them. But in this case, we're just gonna talk about erotic tourism itself. Some concepts that we should keep in mind for this research are the first one being digital ecosystems. And a digital ecosystem is basically everything that is around the digital environment. In this case, we're talking about the internet, YouTube. This Zoom conference is part of the digital ecosystem. And we need to understand how these digital narratives, in this case, are constructed through the social networks. And that's why the digital ecosystem is like our main concept. Everything is happening in this space. After that, the digital narratives, that is basically everything that's being said on our digital communities. And we have our citizenship, that is basically everyone who is part of a community online. In this case, we are part of a community that has like the same goals and the same interests. And for the people who are looking for these videos about Cartagena and Medellin, they are part of another community. Of course, a community of travelers, maybe probably single guys who are looking for women in some different countries. We also have prosumers. Prosumers are internet users who produce and consume content in the digital ecosystem. I don't know if some of you maybe create content, but if you do, you are a prosumer. You not only consume, but you also produce for the internet. Of course, we're gonna talk about tourism and the cities, in this case, Cartagena and Medellin. And like I said, we're gonna use the concept of erotic tourism instead of sexual tourism, just because the videos are not sexual, but they are erotic, and they are leading to prostitution and sexual tourism after all. And last but not least, we also have the social imaginaries and the stereotypes. And in this case, the social imaginaries are just the concepts of how we see the world, of how people want to understand on a specific topic. So let's move forward. The way that I did this research is that I choose 18 YouTube videos, 10 being from Cartagena and 8 from Medellin, whose narrative content referred to erotic tourism in these two cities. And these videos were narrated from the point of view of the tourists who came to Cartagena and Medellin specifically. So I found these videos using keywords on YouTube that were nightlife, Cartagena, Medellin, tourism, both in English and Spanish, to see what I could find, specifically about these cities. And I'm not gonna go really deep into this part of the methodology, but basically I had some instruments to understand how the videos were made, because I was interested in finding what the content was about, what was the plot, which characters were participating, what actions were they doing, which places were they visiting, to see if these videos were actually showing the cultural Cartagena or the fun Medellin instead of cities that were more used for sexual like goals. Finally, when I did my little research on YouTube and I found the videos and I placed them in the instrument, I started the analyzing part, where the videos had some similarities, some differences, or maybe some variations between every story. So we're gonna see a little bit more about how these videos were shown on YouTube. So for example, if we Google Cartagena nightlife, which were some of our keywords, we can see that some of the videos are showing girls in Cartagena, specifically girls, and that's important because some covers do not show guys in Cartagena, and I mean, guys go to Cartagena as well, and they enjoy the nightlife in a good way. But tourists who are coming to these cities are showing the girls as part of the experience in every city. So these narratives expose the cities as eroticized destinations that are based on the women's bodies and the experience that these bodies can offer to the tourists, like they were part of an attraction for men to come here. The imaginaries that have been created in front of Cartagena and Medellin can also be seen as a way of perpetuating gender stereotypes about women and the spaces they inhabit, as these are reproduced more quickly thanks to digital social networks. And like I said, these social media channels didn't exist 10 years ago, 20 years ago. So right now it's easier to just look for information about cities that are far from us. So maybe if you Google Medellin nightlife right now, the first thing that is gonna pop up could be some of these videos. And you're gonna start thinking, that's what Medellin is, or maybe that's what Cartagena is, because that's where it's popping up on the internet. But this is not the whole city. It's just what the tourist wants to show to the digital citizenship. These videos also found together with other multimedia content, such as news, publications, and that is strengthen the imaginary that is all about Cartagena and Medellin. So we do not only have videos, but we also have news, we have blog posts, maybe some Instagram posts now that Instagram is so popular, maybe some TikToks, and that's really interesting because all this content, this audiovisual content is going to TikTok right now. So it's becoming like little short versions about how Cartagena is super fun and you can find women here and how to get laid in Cartagena, but also in Medellin, because Medellin has like this stereotype that is a perfect place to go partying, maybe do drugs, find a prostitute, and it's easy to go and it's cheap for people who are coming maybe from Europe and the States. This is another example of a video that I found on YouTube about Cartagena. And what I found is that these videos have almost the same structure. That means that every video starts with an intro, Maybe someone's talking to the camera, explaining what Cartagena is, what Medellin is, where are they located, and then they start showing women in the cities, but no women like dressed nicely, maybe doing some tourist stuff. No, we see women the way we are looking at this picture. Women that do not know that they are being recorded. Maybe they are in the beach wearing just a swimsuit, but they don't know that this video is posted online for everyone to see. So all the videos mostly tend to focus on three main elements, which are partying, alcohol, and women as objects of desire. The idea that in these cities, there's always something exciting to do and their women are beautiful is emphasized. So we're always talking about, like I said, partying, doing drugs, drinking alcohol, and of course, getting laid with girls. Images that are on these videos usually are highlighting women's bodies, their breasts, their butts, their legs, some body parts that, you know, they're not being 100% sexualized, but at the same time, they're being erotized so people can imagine what's going on in the cities just because they're watching these videos. The female body basically is seen as a tourist attraction for foreign men most of the time. Also, these videos that I just found reveals connections that go beyond this erotization of women and urban environments. In this context, two crucial social realities are identified and reinforced by these materials. The first one being the gentrification process that is going on right now in Medellin. And like I said, I don't know if you've been here in Colombia before. You should come here and enjoy the real Cartagena and the real Medellin. But right now, Medellin is going through a process of gentrification because these videos that are being posted about the city are inviting more and more foreign tourists to come to the city and explore it in a way that is meant just for partying, for having sex, like I said, but also this is raising the prices for locals who actually live in Medellin. Just imagine an European single guy who's coming from, maybe from, I don't know, I don't want to say Germany, but let's take Germany as an example. So let's imagine a German guy coming to Medellin to live. Of course, they're going to pay in euros. And for them, being in Medellin is going to be cheap. But for locals who lives in that city, everything is getting more and more expensive. So this problem is not only about women and about prostitution, about drugs. It's also about how these tourists are like damaging the environment and the system that is happening in these cities. So maybe Medellin and Cartagena are like heaven for tourists, but they're becoming a problem. Usually because they are like sharing this stereotype that living here is easy, is cheap, and you have beautiful women all the time. And also the second problem that is going on in both cities, especially in Cartagena, is of course prostitution. So in the case of Cartagena, the phenomenon manifests itself in a similar way. So the videos are just posted, someone sees online, someone watched an amazing video about nightlife in Cartagena, comes here, and they expect that those videos are the only truth that exists in the city. So Cartagena is only made to have beautiful women as an attraction and of course to have sex with them. Like this is the only thing that could happen. And I like one author that says that this kind of content are mechanisms of production and reproduction of the patriarchal social order. And this is very important because Cartagena and Medellin are being seen just as destinations where visitors can satisfy their needs. But of course, Medellin and Cartagena are more than that. So as a conclusion, this audiovisual material is basically focused on showing local women as an object in the space, reinforcing the existing social imaginaries around them in front of the foreign tourists who come to visit Medellin and Cartagena, of course. And these cities are erotized by only focusing the narratives of the videos on spaces made for party, dancing, the nightlife, and minimizing the cultural and historical experience that Cartagena and Medellin can offer their visitors. So I invite you all, Germans, maybe Americans, Colombians, who are listening to this conversation, to ask ourselves, how can erotic tourism be significantly curbed in Cartagena de Indias and Medellin to prevent these cities from becoming destinations not only for some of the objectification of their women's bodies? Let's think about what strategies can local authorities carry out so that the internet narratives do not predominate over official and positive content in the cities. Or maybe how can we as citizens, as digital citizens that we just talked about, contribute to strengthening the positive imaginaries that are held about these cities? And in this case, I only focus on Cartagena and Medellin, but this problem is happening actually all over the world. So we do not only have Colombian cities as part of this problem, but we also have, for example, Rio de Janeiro in Brazil. We have Cancun in Mexico, especially in Latin America. This happens a lot. We have Ecuador that happens with this problem too. And as I was talking with Sylvia, she was telling me that in Europe you have some cities that are seen just as sexual destinations. And I think that social media is actually like leading us to, I don't know, like make this problem a little bit bigger, to be honest, because information is so easy to find. And also it's easy to make videos about destinations just focusing on sexual stuff. So let's think a little bit more about how we can maybe not solve this problem, but make it a little bit more easy for women out there. Thank you. I don't know, Sylvia, if you have questions or maybe someone here has questions about this.
Thank you very much. I have, yes, I have one question. Could you please show us one of the videos? So not only a photo of it, but that we could like see a video.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Let me just share screen. Maybe I can show you one video. They are actually long videos, so maybe we cannot watch the whole thing.
Oh, two minutes or so.
But yeah, of course, we can watch a little bit. I'm gonna share it with you. Give me a minute. So on my research, I focus on December 2021 to May 2022. But these videos are being posted every day. You can find videos like really recent, and maybe we can show you something that is more like actual. Let me see, share screen. I'm gonna share the sound. So this is an example of a video posted, like 2 months ago. So this is pretty new. Cartagena 2 a.m., hottest nightlife. And what's the first thing that pops up? Of course, a girl that doesn't know that is being recorded by some strangers. We have more girls. And as you can see, no one knows that this dude is recording in the middle of the street to girls. It's a 25-minute long video. So it's a pretty long video of just girls walking around the main wall city area. And it's crazy because you can see some men that are walking around, but you also find that most of the time they are recording girls. I wish we could see maybe some of the videos where they are talking to the camera, but thanks to the internet and people who are doing their job, some of the videos that I found were taken down, because people were being, I don't know how to say it, like being sexualizing women. And right now YouTube is like strengthening their policies. But you can see it's a 25-minute video
Okay,
with
I
most
think
girls.
2 minutes
This
are enough.
Yes, I know. And this happens also with Medellin, so it's not hard to just do a little research. And if you put Medellin nightlife, most of the times there are just girls walking in the middle of the street.
Mhm.
So yes, this is a problem, and now it's going to TikTok, like I said. So we not only have YouTube, but also Instagram, Facebook, and now TikTok.
Yeah, I have 2 questions. Isn't it, if there are so many people who want to buy sex, isn't this very threatening for all girls, that it's some sort of corruption? And especially since you have like many refugees from Venezuela, people without any means, and what does it do with people? And then second question would be, what does it do with people who do nothing, who do not want to have anything to do with this sex trade? And girls like you, if you want to go out, what does it do with you? Or
Okay,
women
so
like you, excuse me.
no, I get what you're saying. So to answer the first question, yes, foreign refugees like Venezuelan girls are like the main target for men here. So I don't want to say that most of the girls, but some girls from Venezuela are actually getting like into prostitution because men are looking for it and they need the money. And when a guy comes to Cartagena with that imaginary that women here are easy to have sex with, they're gonna look for someone. So these Venezuelan girls are a lot of times just working in prostitution, and it's getting like a big issue around the city. And that happens in Medellin and Cartagena as well. Both of these cities are being surrounded by foreign girls, by refugees who become prostitutes because there's some guys who are willing to pay money to have sex with them. And to answer the second question, it's hard for us, and I want to say us as young girls, to go out at night alone. Because tourist man thinks that if you're a girl and if you're walking around the downtown area, you must be a prostitute. So usually girls go out like in big groups of people, so you don't have to be alone, and a guy cannot go into you and maybe ask you to do something that you don't want to. It's a little bit dangerous, and especially at night for girls, I would not recommend to go out by yourself. Maybe if you're in a group with some friends, and that will be fine. Or if you are with a guy, that will be even better. And that sounds like a little, I don't know the word in English, and I'm so sorry, but machista.
Restriction.
Yes, but it's better if you go out with a guy in Colombia if you're a young girl in any of these cities. It could be dangerous.
So it reduces the freedom of all of you.
I'm sorry, what? Can you repeat that again?
It leads to a reduction of freedom, to less freedom for women, for all women.
Yes, we do have less freedom to go out at night.
Mm-hmm.
So when I was in Germany, I was really impressed by how safe going out is for girls. You can see girls, like walking around the streets, maybe going to a club, having some drinks. But in Colombia, it's a different story,
Mm-hmm.
especially in Cartagena, Medellin, Bogota, these big cities surrounded by tourists can be hard to go out alone by yourself because no one wants to be leading with a drunk American asking you for sex if you're not a prostitute. That leads to uncomfortable situations.
Mhm. Yeah. Which cities in Germany have you been to?
I was only in Munich. I was in Munich. Yeah, and I think it was a really nice city, and it was more safe than Cartagena at the time.
Mhm.
I know you have some issues with prostitution, but maybe can you tell us how is the situation in Germany in general?
Well, in Germany in general, let me start with the situation in Berlin, okay? In
Okay.
Berlin, sex and drugs are widespread and easily available. And as far as we heard, they are the cheapest in Germany. And prostitution is allowed everywhere. In other cities, prostitution is limited, only allowed in limited areas. So not so in Berlin. In Berlin, prostitution is legal everywhere. And Berlin has therefore a special kind of national and international tourists. They are attracted to this kind of dual use. Drugs and prostitution are part of the party scene. This, of course, is not true for all men. There are also men who would never go to prostitutes. But for more and more men, because abuse of poor women from a migrant background became normalized because of our legislation. And many of these women are drug addicts and victims of human trafficking from Eastern European countries and other countries from the global South. And this normalization is due to our legislation, as I said. That's a big problem. And some politicians are even fierce fighters in favor of prostitution. They seem to be proud even of the street prostitution of the most vulnerable. They call it sex work. And a former mayor of a district in Berlin said the street prostitution was a nice attraction for tourists. So you see, we have similar problems, but of course it's different because to Berlin, many people go to Berlin because of the Berlin Wall, because of the Berlin history, because of all these things. So Berlin will never be a city which attracts mainly or almost sex tourists. But it became a big and important destination also because the prices are so low, because the legislation allows the human trafficking in enormous numbers. And because of the human trafficking, you have very high offer. And if the offer is very high, of course, the prices go down. And if the prices are down, then, of course, the demand will also increase. And so this is Berlin. And the situation in Frankfurt is also beyond imagination. You offer drugs as soon as you arrive at the railway station. It even happened to me. Do I look like someone who needs drugs? Okay, I don't know. And if you go out, it is around the central station area. It's a typical mix of brothels, sex, and crime. And no women can feel safe in this environment, and definitely not after dawn. Yeah, but in Munich, you said you feel good in Munich. Do you want me to tell you how it's in Munich?
Yeah, of course, please. I mean, for me, from my experience, Munich was a safe place for women, but I bet you all know better. How is it?
Did you walk alone around the central station area?
Not alone. Actually, not alone.
Okay.
I was never alone because I was with my partner.
Yes.
But I don't know, the environment felt a little bit different than Cartagena. I will not go out alone here. But how is it in Munich? How do you think it is?
In Munich, the situation is much better because in 85% of the city, you have this restriction. Prostitution is illegal. But there are politicians who ally with lobbyists, with pro-prostitution lobbyists, and they want to get rid of the prohibition zones. And maybe they believe if it is all legal, it is no longer their responsibility. So we don't know. We don't know exactly why some people want to get rid of the prohibition zones. Basic human rights are obviously indifferent to some politicians. And yeah, what does it mean for women in Munich? I had invited Alicia, a journalist from Uganda, to talk to us about this topic tonight. But unfortunately, she cannot be with us tonight. And Alicia told us about the prostitution politics on African and other migrant women. And she complained to the city authorities in Munich because at the central station in Munich, she is frequently victim of harassment. Men are throwing prices at her. They offer money. And sex buyers are after her and pimps. And she's a very, she's a lady in her 40s, looking very like normal, so to say, okay? Very bourgeois. And, but no help. And only because she's a woman and because she's Black, there are these people who are offering money for her. And she found this situation humiliating. That's why she complained at the city authorities. And they answered that all women were molested in this area because there was an illegal scene of prostitution. So they said, okay, it's normal. It's not racist. It's just normal because all women suffer from this. So you see, we also have problems. And the problem is that sex buyers do not have to fear any sanctions. So if they offer you money, it is just a job offer. But for women, it is illegal to accept this offer in the center of the city, because there it's the forbidden zone. But men can always try. They can always try to corrupt you, okay? And yeah, I don't know. What do you think? Which conclusions should we draw from this?
First, I want to say that here in Colombia, specifically in Cartagena, Medellin, prostitution is not even legal or illegal. It's like there's a blank space in the middle of this policy. So since it's not illegal, actually, that's why a lot of men come here looking for sex, because they know they are not going to jail to do whatever they want to do. And in that case, I think it's very different from where you're talking in Munich. And if we talk about conclusions, I don't think we can solve this problem like right here, right now. But if we keep in mind that this is happening and that the digital ecosystem is working towards that way of sexual harassment, prostitution, erotism, maybe we can figure it a way to tell people that this is not fine, that you should not post something about women that is not true. I don't know how to explain the feeling that I have when I see these videos about women who do not know they're being recorded for such a topic as nightlife and prostitution, sexual stuff. Because that's not their job. That's not what women were doing in Cartagena and Medellin. Maybe they were just walking around. So we have to acknowledge that these videos are being posted online and that we should do something, maybe report it on the social media platforms. And if they don't have someone who's watching the videos, they're gonna stop making them. That's basically how it works. You offer something, someone watches, so you're gonna continue doing it. But if there's no one watching it, why would you do it? And I know it's hard, but since the politics are not working, I think it's on us, or the citizens, to do something different, to do better for the women around. I don't know if we can maybe open space if someone have a question.
Okay, yes. Good idea.